one of the first of its kind, and the audience is really full, so y'all clap. So we have to do what we have to do to keep things moving, and it's all good. This is the first town hall meeting of its kind that I am aware of. And for me, it's a very, very, very huge milestone, because being in the solar industry business, as I have been for the last 3 years, this was one of my dreams. One of my goals, one of my dreams that I actually was intentional about was bringing solar education to the community. And in doing so, one of the ways that I thought to do that was to do a town hall meeting. So this one is the first of its kind, and I do expect that there will be more. And as there are more, the room will be full of.
Put your headset on.
Okay, I've got to step away for just a moment, put the headset on. Now I'm going to look like an alien. How about that? Okay, just a moment. All right, y'all talk, say something, introduce yourselves. Who's here? Who's in the house?
I'm Kenny Skinner.
All right, Mr. Skinner is here.
Charles Jones.
Charles Jones is in the house.
Harry Grant.
Harry Grant is in the house.
Ray Dent.
Ray Dent's also in the house. All right.
Calvin Ford.
Calvin Ford. Hi, Mr. Ford. How are you?
I'm blessed. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for coming. Okay.
Daryl Robbins.
Daryl Robbins. The Daryl Robbins. Okay. All right. Is that better? Okay. So I'm wired up now. Not sure what it looks like. It doesn't go with my outfit at all, but here I am. So we're not going to prolong this evening, but we do want to present the information as promised. And it's all about solar. I am your host every Thursday at 6:30, Robin Fatme. We are live on Facebook and YouTube, Spotify. Is it Spotify? Spotify and Stay Humble, Be Humble Network. We're live every Thursday talking all about solar. So I'm going to just go through a little bit of a presentation so you get an idea of who I am and what we're doing here. I am Robin Fatme. I am the founder and operations manager of Solar Logics EDU. Solar Logics, the idea of it actually was born in 2021. The legal formation of Solar Logics actually happened in 2023. So we went from just wanting to be in the solar business and learn and understand it because we have solar on our home. And my husband and I actually were not green when we sat with the particular companies that we talked to, but we didn't know everything. We knew enough to understand some of the language, but you know how things go. There's always a glitch. And the glitch that happened to us is actually what pushed me out to sell solar. During that process, I actually realized that homeowners needed an advocate. And for those of you who are listening online, you know that this is what I say every week. Again, we're going to welcome you here. I just did my introduction. The reason that we are here is because solar is becoming something that is taking over the marketplace to a certain extent. Homeowners will not be able to get away from it. It's almost like computers were back in the 90s and the 80s. There was a program, No Kid Left Behind, and that was from an educational standpoint. They made sure that when the teachers started using computers in the school, then there was a mandate. Every home will have a computer, and that's exactly what happened. And today, how many computers do we have in our homes? Some of us 3 and 4, 5 and 6 in one house. And it depends on how many people live in your house will sometimes determine how many computers, because we don't share. We don't share computers anymore. And if we have a phone, that is equivalent to a computer. So everybody has one. And what about the cell phone? Remember when cell phones were not very popular and very, very expensive? We have gone from very expensive to still expensive, but affordable, because usually in societies, communities, when there is a mandate that something is going to happen or needs to happen based on the decisions of those who make the decisions, we are put in a position where we start to shift mindset because of the programs that are put in front of us, whether it's on TV, whether it's radio, whether it's our friends and family who are what we call early adopters. They get it first, then we see them with it, and eventually it becomes affordable enough that everybody has it. So the goal of Solar Logics is to educate homeowners, okay? That is just it, pure and simple, to educate homeowners about solar energy, to make the homeowner smarter. That's what it's all about. Because if you're smart, then when the sales representative or the installer is sitting with you, helping to convince you about you need to make this switch, then you will have enough information to be able to question him. You qualify the salesperson as well as they are qualifying you, because they are always qualifying you. Solar Logics is a solar energy education company and sales organization. And me, I am your trusted, huge word, trusted solar energy advocate. And what I do, what we do is totally centered around, as I said, making you smarter so that the homeowners are able to equalize the buying experience. So it's no longer a one-sided situation, meaning that the salespeople, anybody in the solar industry, they come with all the knowledge. You know a little bit here and there. Your knowledge is usually detached. It's not free. You know enough to understand that when you hear the word solar, or when they talk about putting panels on your house, you understand that much of it, but do you really understand how it works, if it's good for you, if your roof is even right for solar? Because a lot of times, every roof is not the same, and every roof will not support enough solar to support the production of energy that you need. So what we do is we deliver value in teaching homeowners how to correctly interpret information about solar. Because you should no longer be uninformed. It's time to know. And that's where I come in. Now, solar actually is not the problem. A lot of people, when you talk about solar or you just use that word, it's negative. You know, sometimes people want it. Sometimes people don't want to hear nothing about it. They don't understand it. So it's like solar is the problem. But solar is not the problem. The problem is the business practices. Okay, the business practices of the quote unquote professionals that actually bring the information to us. Those who are in the industry that are out here making it do what it do, doing the deals, you know, they are the ones that are providing the information and everything that we need. So solar itself is not the problem. The problem is the business practices of the professionals in the industry. And we simply refer to them as professionals because They are the ones with the information. It's an industry created. They live in that world. They work in that world. They get all the information up front, and we know nothing about it. So that's what it's all about. And when we talk about who these professionals are, we're talking about sales representatives. We're talking about installers, also the people who actually put the panels on your home, and we're talking about finance companies because they all work in tandem to get your money. And I do have a few people in the audience who have experienced that and understand how these companies harm. They are doing great harm to the people in our communities. And we are in a position now to start sharing information and getting the word out so that people understand that there's another way and that we do have options and there is something that we can do about it. And that's why we are here. Now, why should you switch to solar? We've already established that solar is not the problem. So why would you even consider switching? The switch is because of the pain that is associated with paying these high electricity bills. You know, the cost of electricity is constantly going up, up, up. Whereas 5 or 6 years ago, the average price per kilowatt might have been 6 cents per kilowatt or 10 cents per kilowatt. You know, it's an unregulated industry, it's been deregulated. So now you've got competition. So far as the electricity companies that actually prepare your bill for you. And that's what they really do. They are not producing electricity. These are the companies like your THQ may still produce energy. Encore produces the energy. So all these companies, Jexer, Rhythm, whoever you pay your bill to, these people are really, they're just preparing a bill to send to you. So when you talk about an electricity company, what are you really talking about? You're just talking about somebody who collects the information and they bill you. They are not producing energy. So if they are not producing energy, then they really have nothing to do with your bill other than making sure you get it and making sure that you pay it on time. And if you don't pay it on time, then they actually, you know, provide terms for you to pay it when you can. So the cost of electricity, we all agree, is high. Is that right?
Yes.
The cost of electricity is high, and it's painful when you have a $1,000 electricity bill. I talk to people all the time. I had a lady tell me the other day that last summer she had 4 months of $1,000. Every month she was paying that. Then I had a gentleman once who we were talking about solar for him because his bill was consistently $900. And when you look at that cost of electricity, that's like you're living in a commercial building. You know, those are commercial prices and payments. Why are you paying that much for your electricity? Now we know in the summertime things tend to adjust to a higher rate, or in the wintertime they could adjust to a higher rate. But this one particular person had 4 commercial freezers in his home. You know, so and the pool, which now helps me understand why his bill is so high. So even if he got solar, his bill's not going to be much lower because he's still running those things. When you consider solar, our job as the salesperson and the person who prepares the proposal for you, we have to make sure that we are designing a system that will produce at least the same amount of energy that you're using now. That's why every system is custom. Every solar system is a custom design specific for you and your home and your usage. So solar is not always the answer. The answer in his case may have been, you got to downsize some of these freezers. He had a reason for having them. He's a pastor. and, it's a part of this food bank operation, but you're not gonna solve the problem, you know, just by getting solar. So the cost of electricity is high, and that's painful when people have to pay high electricity bills at least 6 months out of the year. Because in the summer, when it's really hot, you know you're gonna have maybe 3 months, and in the winter, possibly two, possibly three. That December, January, and February, sometimes around here can be pretty cold, and it will cause us to have to increase the kilowatts that we're using. So understand this, and please, you all, as you leave here, do me a favor and share this information. And if you have anyone or know anyone who is interested in learning about solar, let me know. And I'll take care of making sure that they get the proper information. As we said, we are a solar energy education company as well as a sales organization. So we can teach you, and then if it's your choice still to go solar, you can buy it from us, from SolarLogix EDU. But even if you don't, sometimes people ask me, why would you say this? Even if you don't buy it from me, not a problem. But I know that you are now an educated consumer. You are an educated homeowner. You are a homeowner who can now qualify that sales rep that is sitting with you, okay? So that's really important. Also understand that there is indeed a national conversation occurring and growing around renewable energy. How many of you all are becoming more and more familiar with the term renewable energy? That conversation is becoming every day. Renewable energy, clean energy, climate control. These are becoming buzzwords because, you know, the people who put systems in place, they understand that all of us who consume these products are not necessarily going to go and study it and read it. You know, we're word of mouth. We're going to listen to what each other is saying. So they put it out in the atmosphere, renewable energy. Every time you turn on the TV, clean energy. We're transitioning from fossil fuel and these types of things. And eventually, in your subconscious, you know, you're being prepared for solar. Because I don't know how soon, but I would say in the next 10, 15 years, probably every roof around will have solar. That's plain. But it needs to be equitable for you as well as them. And the only way it can be equitable for you is that you understand how it works and you're able to combat the bad situations. So that's the shifting of the mindset because of, you know, the conversations that are in place and the programs that are in place. So our job is to relieve you of the pain of the high bills. We can't do that with solar because we've already established the solar is not the problem. We're going to do that when you switch to solar. The idea we just said, you know, you've got TV commercials, radio, internet, retail stores, word of mouth. I mean, it's like the approach to you as the homeowner. It's already started. But now, one thing you need to understand is that you, the homeowner, you are the prize. The industry itself is created. People in high places understand that, okay, we need A, B, C, and D. We need marketers, we need salespeople, we need installers, we need financing. Everything that we need is in place now. And you are the prize. Everybody gets paid, and you are stuck with a bill for 20 to 25 years. How many of you are interested in solar or have solar? How's it working?
So it was fine.
Solar works fine, because solar is not,
It worked out.
solar works fine. So now we want you to understand that as the approach continues, you've got door knockers in your neighborhood. Our neighborhoods are inundated with door knocking. Every time you turn around, it's almost like you have to choose your time to leave home and come home because they are in the neighborhood. And now, when those door knockers are in your neighborhood, a lot of things that people don't know is that for them to knock on your door, they really should have a permit. Most of them don't have permits and probably won't ever apply for one, but that's what is required for them to do it. They should register with the police department or some arm of the city and say that they are going to walk these neighborhoods. They will charge them a fee for so long, and they have a permit. So when they knock on your door, please ask for the permit, especially if you don't want to be bothered, ask them for the permit. And that will kind of let them know that you are in tune with the way that things should happen. Now, if they don't have a permit and you choose to talk to them, that's good. That's no problem. That's your choice, and that is not an invasion. Okay, we understand that. Not an invasion. You got phone calls, spam phone calls and emails. Everybody's familiar. You cannot go to your email without seeing stuff. And the phone calls are just totally out of bounds. Here's what I don't want you to do. I do not want you or anyone you know, please share the word. Do not fill out any information, giving your name, your address, your zip code, when you see these advertisements about stuff. Because those are just lead generation. They will tell you that there's so many different types of incentives that you can get, and various things they offer you for free, grants, all kinds of things. They are collecting data, lead generation, so that then they can spam your phone and say to you, we're calling you because you inquired about something. And now they can start to talk to you about it and reel you in. Because you're on a hook right now. And they're reeling you in. So tell everybody you know. Stop doing that for one thing. And that will lower your spam calls and emails, because that's the information they collect. Your name, your address, your phone number, and your email. So they will, keep bothering you. But if you don't want to be bothered, don't do it. Now, what they'll do is the people who call you initially, they have the lead, so they call you. And they basically are just qualifying you so that they can then pass you off to the consultant or the sales rep or whatever they're calling themselves. Once that person has you on their schedule, they're going to visit you at your home so that they can now see your home, ask questions about your activities. They will then collect your electricity bill. Once they collect that electricity bill, there is an actual formula calculation that they use to determine the design of your system. And you may want it, you may not want it, but you're going to feel as though you have to go along with them, but you never do. You do not. Is solar free? He says no. Is solar free? I mean, people ask all the time, is it free? Because the commercials on TV, the radio commercials, internet, you can be scrolling Facebook and the ad will pop up and say, if you're thinking about solar, don't go past this. Put in your zip code to see if you qualify. The government is giving away solar for free. We don't know. We don't know the truth. we don't have anybody to tell us the truth, except now I'm here. But in the meantime, when you go through those processes and they're telling you that solar is free, they are going to capture your information and finalize a deal one way or the other. And what I mean by one way or the other, either you are in agreement with it at that point, or they're going to create a fraudulent account for you. We know that happens as well. So tell your family and your friends to please beware. Solar is not free. Now, a lot of times when they tell you that it's free, they're speaking from a standpoint that there is no out-of-pocket cost because they're going to qualify. If you have a credit score of at least 650, then you're qualified for solar. The finance companies that actually support the solar industry, they are only looking for a credit score of 650 or above. If you got that, then you're qualified, you're ready to go. You don't have to put any money up front, you don't have to pay anything. All you do is sign on the dotted line, the contract for the loan. Once you do that, then they move you into the next steps. And it's a done deal. Now, when they do that, once you qualify, you have a few options. They will sell you a PPA, or they will lease it to you, or you can own it. If you do a PPA or a lease, that's just like leasing a car. They will actually use your roof space almost for free because you do have to pay for them being up there, but you don't own it. But then on the other hand, you got to read your contracts and make sure that you understand the fine print, the big print, and every other size print in there because, you know, what if you want to sell your home? Can you sell it if you're leasing? Well, in some cases, they will tell you that it's assumable and that the people who are buying your home can take over the lease. But in this market, a lot of home buyers are not interested in taking on that added burden. Now, what if they are already qualified for, let's say, $350,000 home? Okay, they see your home, they like your home, they really want your home, but you have solar panels on your home and you still owe $40,000. Who's going to pay for that? Is the seller going to pay for that so that you can sell the house? Or are you going to try to roll it in some kind of way so that the buyer is going to pay for it? So those are things that you have to think about. When you own it, same thing. If you own it, then there's no assumability. You know, it's just that you can sell it. Your question?
What's a PPA?
A PPA is a power purchase agreement. It is similar to a lease, except the difference in a lease and a PPA is they're both for the same period of time. You know, the loan can be, or the PPA or the lease can be for 20 years, 25 years, 15, just depends on what you agree to. But the lease has taxes on top. Most people don't know that. It's just like leasing a car. Now, a PPA will usually be helpful for people who have little to no income because it's a little bit less than a lease. But a lease will always have taxes. If you get your monthly statement for the lease, it'll have taxes added into it. Now, the contracts. You gotta beware of the contracts because most people are not reading the contracts. And if you're not reading the contracts, then, you know, that's what they hold over your head. Any problem that you have, the answer is going to be, will you sign the contract? Will you sign the contract? Well, did you read the contract? Usually, no, but, you know, if somebody's in your house, 5 o'clock, it's gonna take at least 3 hours for them to go from beginning to finish, and you signing that contract, and they're out of your house. Now, 5, 6, 7, it's 8 o'clock at night. You did not read the contract. You were relying on me, the person who is the professional, who is there to put you in a better position where your electricity bill is concerned. And I'm telling you all the things that you need to know about solar. You're trusting me until you get your contract. Now, when you get a contract, you should read it if you get it within a proper amount of time, meaning that you get it, I signed it today and you get it tomorrow. Or you even get it the same night. But the thing is, you have 3 days to cancel. You sign these contracts, and it doesn't matter if it's solar or not. There is a 3-day notice of cancellation. But my suggestion now, based on what I know, if you want solar, if you invite me into your home and we go over everything, and you feel as though you understand it, don't sign the contract. Ask me or anybody else to give you a copy of that contract so that you can study through it. Because the deal is not going to change. And this way you have an opportunity to read that contract even before you sign it and even before you're in that 3-day window. Now, when you sign it, you still have 3 days. If you did it and you didn't tell your wife or your husband, and when they find out it's like, it's not a good deal, well, you still have time to sign the notice and get it back. But you have to sign that notice within 3 days. You sign it today, on the 3rd day from today, before midnight, you have to sign it and have it back into the company. Now, the installer is the person who's going to actually put the solar panels on your home. You should have a cancellation notice within that contract, as well as the finance company is going to give you a contract. And you've got a 3-day cancellation notice in there as well. You need to do them both. If you decide you don't want to do it, you need to do them both. Yes, sir.
A lot of times, all, installation company, but sometimes you have, company that sell panels, then install the panel. So you're not gonna get, and if that guy didn't see the contract that day or the next day, you forget about it. In most cases, that guy is gonna talk to the installer. They're gonna sign it the next day.
Yes. Yeah. And that's a part of the game that they play. We do know that they are in it together. It is not separate. Something like me, I am a company. I am Solar Logics EDU. I educate and I sell, but I partner with an installer. So when I make a sale, then I pass it to my installer, but I stay connected to you until it's all done. Now, I am transparent, whereas in other situations, that person that sells it to you may be his own company. He is not a part of the installation company. Some installation companies have their own sales division, they have their customer service division, they have their installers who do that. It's a complete company. They have everything they need in-house, okay? But if they don't, then that installer becomes a third party who is doing the work. So you really should get a contract from all three. The person that sold it to you, if he is his own company, he needs to have a contract, but sometimes they won't have the contract. What they will have is their information embedded inside of the installer's contract. And that's why you have to read it to know that. And
How do you get a constructive notice of cancellation? How can you prove that you cancel within the 3 days?
well, you're going to sign it. Okay? Inside of your contract, there is a separate couple of pages notice of cancellations. We'll have the instructions as to how you do that. You sign it, you send it to the company, but of course you keep your copies as well, okay? And usually you are going to talk to somebody on the phone and do it, but don't just send it in without communicating to somebody that you did that, because you need to make sure that they got it. Makes sense? Yeah, you've got to have proof, and you have to protect yourself, because they're not going to protect you at all. They're going to be hoping that it got lost. Yeah.
But as long as you prove that you sent it to them, because if you email it to them, and if they don't act on it, you got to prove it.
Yeah.
I sent it to this,
Right.
at this particular time, they, you ought to have me time today.
Yeah, per their instructions. You did what their instructions said. Like, for instance, I had a situation once where a lady went through the complete process, purchased solar, signed the contracts, and then she had questions about the financing. And I could not answer her questions. So we got on the phone, called the finance company to speak with legal to understand exactly what we were reading. And legal didn't know. They are just a department within that finance company that don't really, they're not really legal people. They're just reading a script. They're just doing it like they don't know. So my customer could not get satisfaction to her question. So she looked at me like, I really hate to do this to you. But like, no, don't hate to do it to me. The best thing for you to do is cancel. And that's exactly what she did. She still wants something. She hasn't bought it. And I mean, I'm still her top pick for solar when she goes that route. But you have to be willing to give up this money. It's like you can't be committed to the commission and not to the people that you're selling, the people that you're working with. And if you're committed to the commission, then you're going to always do that.
Do the installers have to be insured?
Well, they should be. And that's a really good question. The question was, do the installers have to be insured? Yes, they should. And we should ask to see all of that before we sign the contract. We should know the answers to those types of questions. Because if they get on your roof and say they fall off, they may try to put that to your home's insurance as opposed to, do they have insurance? And if we let them up there and we don't know, then, there's a 50-50 chance that you're not going to be held responsible. Excellent question. Yes, sir.
Do they have to have permits?
Yes, they should have permits. Now, the steps are when you sit with the representative and you decide that you're going to go solar, you have now signed the contract. The next step is that they will do what is called a site survey. That means they're going to come out, they're going to examine your roof and determine whether or not your roof will support solar, whether or not you need a new roof before you get solar, because that's important too. They should check your attic, and because sometimes they're going to run the piping through the attic as opposed to, I know y'all have probably seen these houses where the silver piping is, I don't like that personally, but that sometimes, and in order for that not to show, then they're going to run that through the attic. Then the next step is permitting. Permitting means that they go to the city building and zoning committee and find out what the rules are for installing solar. Usually they have to also submit an engineering. Engineering is involved there to know how many panels, where they can sit them, how far from the easement they have to be. Are there any fire setbacks? There are lots of things, but we as the homeowner and the consumer, we don't know this. And when they come to install, they really should have the permit thing, but they don't. And we know that firsthand that the installers will apply for a permit, and the permit might not come for 3 or 4 months later, or never come, because they never applied for it. These are things that we want to help homeowners to understand, so that you can protect yourself when you decide to make that switch. Also, installation contract, you'll have warranties, an installation warranty, manufacturer's warranty, and a labor warranty. So if something happens to your system and they need to go up there and work it out, then the labor should be a part of the warranty. You really should not be coming out of your pocket to pay for labor, but you have to pay attention to the labor warranties, because usually they do not run for the full amount of the loan. The labor warranties may stop at 5 years or 10 years, but we don't know that because there was no play, and we didn't read the contract before we did it. So we find these things out usually later. All right, well, I've got to the end of that. It's
For the installers, they have, so they have to get paid after they get it.
well, that's a good question.
I don't know, I tell you what happened to me, I think they get paid immediately. When they come out, all of my time, I didn't get a contract. 5 months later. Keep at it. They didn't even have my system. Then when the finance company, I tried to talk to them. Not even, you know, you can't even talk to them. They don't even hear that. They didn't talk to them. But they already got paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you just, that,
Because they don't care. It's not about your satisfaction, you know, and they're paying money on your behalf, but you have no control over this money that's being paid out.
they already got paid. They are, you know,
They give them, that's for good. They give you, they got a check for the good. Then, once the job is complete, you get the,
Permission to operate.
appeal, permission, PTO, permission
Yeah.
to operate. Then they give them the balance. But now, they give them enough money to buy the, pay for the panel and equipment. So you, whatever they get, all the equipment cost, rest of it, labor, and then, the fee, let's say, company, and then once they all in together, and that's the good thing, they give them money front, it's hard, like, give a draw, you get stuff done, they give you, full draw, get started, buy the material, gotta have money to pay, people, whatever. And then at the end, you pay when it's competing with the customer satisfied.
And in this case, it's this two draws. Usually, sometimes they get it all. It just depends on the finance company. Within the solar industry, there are about maybe 4, 5, 6 solar finance companies that are like, well, you've got other entities. They're usually a little smaller, but the big ones, they created the game per se.
I was just gonna say, I'm just really not a fan of this solar, whatever. The reason is, since I had my solar up, it has rained in my home over 3 times. And now it's coming through my fire detectors and my vents, and I done called them over and over to come out. They came out and sealed the little hole where they think it's coming out at. But then that next time the big rain comes, it's raining in there again. And then not only that, my light bill's still $400-500 every month. That has not went down. So, but I could pay the finance company over $250 a month. And then I'm paying a light bill for $500. So I'm paying $700-800 a month when I was supposed to get lower, but I got increased the bill.
Yeah.
So,
So, in your case, we're gonna take it because I understand you're one of those situations that the very thing that shouldn't happen is exactly what happens. And there's nobody there to help you. Now, the manufacturer or the installer, I think the installer is more of the problem than the manufacturer. But now, that installer, I believe, is still in business because they go out of business, you know, like, they spend on the dime to go out of business. But I think the one that installed yours is still in business, and it's just gonna take some support from higher entities to help us get that. Yeah. Okay.
okay, thank you.
One thing, only thing, see that, sometimes those panels have fuses, if the fuse go out, it's not gonna work. So, what you wanna do is, that company has an electrician or find an electrician that works on solar. And chances are it's just a fuse, because, I mean, you're not gonna have that feel.
If solar is working.
Because, like I say, just because they're up there,
Right.
fuses out, it's not gonna do it.
The fuses, the inverters.
They want, first of all, if they're not, they get them out there and find, somebody.
And you have to be careful about finding electricians and people to touch that, because, you know, if somebody who is not authorized touches it, then it will cancel the warranties. So you gotta be careful about that, but you're correct.
So saying that, is it not a meter to tell you when the solar panels are not on? Or is it-
Yeah, there are monitoring systems. You know, you can have an app on your phone where you can watch it, you know, and see exactly that they are working or that they are not working. Usually the installers, some of them actually monitor, and then you have a monitoring company, Solar Edge, Enphase, NEP, other people. But the thing about it is you have to be awake. You can't just put solar panels on your house and then not do anything. You know, you don't just put them up there and leave them and it's a done deal and they're gonna do what they need to do. They're like children almost. They have to be watched.
Oh, now, okay, if you want to check, it's a quick check you can do. When I say the electrician, I don't mean for them to touch it,
Right.
change that fuse, but at the break box, open up the break box. Electrician, if you got a bolt on wheel, you just clamp it around the rock. If it's producing amp, then it's working. It's been shown amp that's being drawn, so they don't have to touch it.
The panel.
All they got to do in that break box, you know, where they have everything, is right there. All they got to do is open up and clamp that amp, and then you can see it going out. If it ain't going out, it should, well, depending on the size of the system, you know, 18 to 21 amps on each line, because you got two phases.
And do you know how many panels you have on your house?
I don't know, but I just know from day one, I've been had that same bill. Ever
Well,
since
yeah,
I
well, see,
So whether the fuse is out or not, it ain't been out when they first installed it. My bill been that ever since I had it.
Yeah, you're right. They're not working, but see, if you don't have nobody out there, they don't come back out there and check.
Well, you know, like Miss Robbins, she came by the house and we checked, we got it connected in there, because first I wasn't connected. But then after I talked to her and we got it connected, and it's been going since, but it's still the same bill, it's still the same.
I thought you counseled the, do you not get rid of the electricity company once you get down?
No, not totally.
Oh.
You don't go off grid completely. What happens is, your system is designed to produce a particular amount of energy based on your needs. And if you don't use everything that you produce, then that extra or what's left over goes back to the grid. Once it goes back to the grid, then you get paid for that or you get credit for that. And when you get credit for your overproduction, it should, and in most cases, will cover your bill. Like, for myself, for instance, I've had solar for 3 years and we've paid 6, maybe 7 bills in 3 years. And, pardon me, 5 in 7 years. And so for us, our bill comes in at 0. Well, it comes in at 0, so we can see what we produce, what we use, and how much we got credited. And so you want to have enough credits to flow month after month after month, so that when you get into those high seasons in the summer and in the winter, you have produced enough that it will still take care of that. So for us, solar has done exactly what it's supposed to do. It's been a bill swap, meaning that my average bill was like $328. But that doesn't mean that you pay $328 every month. It means that you take everything that you paid 12 months, add it up, divided by 12, whatever that is your average. And so the money that I would have been paying on the bill, now that goes to pay for the panels. Okay, and so we still get the information from the electricity company, but the bill is 0. But now you really have to understand how to read your bill, because we're talking about solar for the offset of electricity usage. But you've got a base charge in there, you've got taxes in there, you've got encore delivery charges in there. Hopefully you want to be producing enough that it will cover everything, which in my case it does. It covers everything. I never have to pay additional for the taxes or for the base charge, because we produce enough to cover the whole thing.
So when you pay your panels off, what happens?
You keep going. And when you pay the panels off, that's when you're in the best shape. Now, here's what, in 2021, I didn't know as much as I know and understand now. So if I could take what I know now and consult with the person in 2021, what I would not do is finance them. I would have saved the money or got it, however, and paid cash for the panels. Because when you do that, then that's when you're really getting your return.
Do the contract not allow it?
They do. They do it as soon as I can.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
It also depends on the electric company you use at the back. They have.
Exactly. So, and what electricity company are you?
It's called Just Energy.
Let's see, just, pays you like 3 cents. I think 3 cents for your overproduction, and that's not really enough to offset. So you're not getting a 1-to-1. If you get a 1-to-1 buyback deal, that means that if you pay 10 cents or 12 cents per kilowatt, then all of your overproduction that they pay you for, they're going to pay you the same thing. So that's going to kind of zero out, your energy usage. And if you have enough, then it should cover the rest of your bill. But if you're paying 10 cents per kilowatt, but they're only paying you 3 cents, you're never going to get it. So that's one thing that we need to look at and probably change. That I don't know. We would have to look at it and do the calculations to even determine if they designed your system properly to begin. But yeah, we need to fix that.
What's the average cost of panels? What, $40,000?
It depends. Now, that's a good question. He said, what's the average cost for a system? No 2 homes are the same. You live in a house with 3 or 4 people, the kilowatts that you're using every month may be far less than I'm using. So my system cost is not going to match yours at all. My system cost might be $25,000. Your system cost might be 40,000, another one may be 30, but it all depends on how much we need to make sure that you're trading for right now. Yeah.
You have to understand that when it's cloudy outside, they're not gonna produce it.
Yeah, that's what they said. It's gonna cost more at that time.
Yeah.
And then, let me say this, and then, you also have to understand that a lot of people believe that just because you have solar, that you're never going to be without energy. If there is a power outage, you believe, or most people believe that that's not going to affect them. And that's not true, because you are still connected to the grid. Your meter is set up so that during the day when you are producing energy, it's going one way. Then when when the night comes or whatever, then the energy that goes back, your meter goes backwards. So if there's a power outage and you're allowed to continue to have your solar running or whatever, and then power is going bad, if they're working on the line, somebody's gonna get hurt. So if there's a power outage, you're going to be affected as well. And a lot of people believe that, the grid in 2021, when we came within minutes, 4 minutes of that grid going down completely. And now, in my opinion and what I've been told, it was far more severe than most of us really know. But when that happens, you're just like everybody else. Unless you have a battery. If you have a battery, then the battery stores your overproduction, and then that's a whole different situation.
What about a generator? Can you have a generator?
You can have a generator.
And I guess the generator is
Oh, well, yeah, well, you know what you do, is you generate, you have to have break for the generator. Okay, and then you have to cut the main break off where it feeds from the meter. You cut that off, cut the main break off. If you don't, then somebody, or you have a back, you cut that break off, then where you have the generator.
They put this system, I had a lot of like.
So I was like with me, when I was home, I bought the regular, I didn't buy the generator, I bought the regular generator, but I break it down, main break off, so back then I just plug my generator, and I try to break it off. Then, and I got a bigger generator, big enough generator to run all out of the house. I got 2 AC units, so I can run the whole thing all one, 11 kV, but it'll operate the whole house. But like I said, I wouldn't need it. I just maybe just use one system, and then you have to put a break, you have to put a safety device in there. So it go back when the power come back on. See, when the power come back on, you got the break off, the main break off. Then it's not going to make it won't hurt anything. If you got that break off, then you disconnect your break and generator, then you cut, and break it back on. That's the main breakdown. And that way.
So, that's pretty much it. This is the first education presentation. Anyone have any questions, other questions?
But one thing, somebody thinks about cost of time.
Oh.
There are people out there, companies that will do it for you a lot cheaper. The thing of this, some people, they don't have a lot of overhead. It's just him and one guy that owns the company. He'll just have people come in and do the job for him because it comes with my panel. Okay, this company want to charge me $65,000 for the panels. Install on my house and everything else. And this guy came down and did some work on my panels for the company that I bought them. But he said, well, I'll be honest with you, man, I could have put this panel up for you for $29,000. $29,000. He said, I said, well, you gonna make any money off of it? Well, if I want to make a profit, I can still make a profit. $29,000, but I would, still maybe add $3,000. That's enough for me. So you're looking at maybe $32,000, $33,000. Now you got to pay, a lot of people that you buy from, they make money, finance, because they don't make money on finance. So at $65,000 in 20 years, I'll be able to pay over $105,000. That's just too much. The pounds are not gonna last past 10, 15 years because, you know, they're gonna wear out, you take them off the roof, they ain't gonna sell it, they ain't gonna protect it. They're way too cheap.
What about the taxes?
That tax credit,
Oh, yeah. I never, nobody, who got it? Anybody ever get it? Oh, you did? Oh,
how did you get it? Well, let me ask you this, did you get the full amount?
She applied for the full amount. I told her I already owe her the same, so I'm saying, look that. It helped me.
We got paid, we got paid.
But see, that's how it is designed to work. Did you get a refund?
No, I said, hold on, I'm saying already.
So they
I didn't know what the amount was.
exactly. And that's how the tax credit works. It's a credit. It's not a rebate, it's a credit. And it is there to offset any liability, tax liability that you have. If you owe, say you have a $19,000 tax credit and you owe $5,000, then there's a form 5695 that you fill out and put it with your tax preparation. Then they will take $5,000 from that 19, and then the leftover money will continue for 5, possibly up to 10 years. But it's rare that people get the money in their hands. Usually, probably the way they get it is if you are a W-2 worker, you're already paying taxes out of your check every week or every whatever. So you're paying in, hoping that you paid in enough that you don't owe. But if you have the tax credit there and you have paid that money in, then you will probably get a refund, but they're refunding you the money that you've already paid in.
And most of them will tell you, if you finance companies, if you send us that tax credit money that you get, you know, refund, it will lower the amount of the solar panels that you owe, you know, as well.
And they know that you're not going to get any physical money in your hand to be able to pay that down. So that's a problem. That's a problem.
Okay, so how long you have to file, even though you've been had the panels, you didn't file it that year, but you filed the following year, or how long did you? 5 years?
Possibly 10.
Oh,
I've seen it both ways. It just depends on who's filing it for you and how aware they are about it. You can go and read through the Inflation Reduction Act, which will tell you about solar and all other things that they're giving tax credits for. Or you can pick up the phone and call the IRS or call the government.
okay.
Yeah.
But if you don't no longer have the tax credit information or whatever that they have, do you call back to the company? Or you
Well, it's on your contract.
okay.
The contract shows how much you would pay your loan down by
Mhm.
that tax credit amount. So it's there, you have it on paperwork.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I want to thank you all for coming. I am like really excited about being here. It's the first time out the gate, and we're gonna get better and better at how we actually present the information to make sure that you are learning what you need to know to be able to share with family, friends, or whoever. Even if you don't have solar and you're not interested in getting solar, but you may overhear a conversation and you're able to now help somebody else. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, so did you learn anything?
Oh,
Yes.
Okay, very good.
That's one more thing. Any company that comes around trying to sell you solar, whatever, if they don't have a card, they don't have business card, don't do business. If you can't, get a name from it and Google them and get some reviews on it, don't do business. Second house, they ain't been in business long, they ain't making sales, they're not, it's a scam.
Yeah.
They're
And they are, the scammers is out there.
Yeah.
There are scammers out
And so, a solar energy education advocate, someone who really has a heart for helping people. And, I'm definitely a person who attracts people who have problems. But the biggest part about that is I don't mind doing the work. And if we stick to it long enough, we'll become known for doing the work and be able to make some real changes that will benefit all of us. So I want to say thank you very much for coming out and give yourself a round for here. I appreciate you, and if there's nothing else, see you again.